January 1917. In a quiet London office, British codebreaker Nigel de Grey stared at a decoded message that could change the world. It wasn't a battle plan, it was the Zimmermann telegram, a secret German proposal to Mexico. Join us if the US declares war, and we'll help you reclaim Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona. The message was a diplomatic bombshell, meant to ignite chaos in the Americas and distract the US from Europe. But the British had intercepted it, thanks to the codebreakers of Room 40. Now they faced a dilemma: how to reveal the telegram to the Americans without exposing that they'd cracked Germany's codes. If Germany found out, they'd change their codes, and Britain would lose its edge. The fate of the war hung on the careful release of this single devastating secret. The Zimmermann telegram was more than a message. It was the turning point of a hidden war fought with information, deception, and betrayal. In backrooms and embassies, codebreakers and spies shaped history as much as soldiers in the trenches. Their victories and failures, often hidden for decades, changed the world. And it all began with one intercepted message. The shadow war of World War I had truly begun. Sometimes a single secret can tip the balance of an entire war. Why care about spies from a century ago? Because the secret wars of 1914-1918 are the blueprint for today's intelligence world. The tools have changed, satellites instead of pigeons, but the game is the same. Information is power. World War I forced nations to turn espionage into a serious, organized industry. The lessons learned in places like Room 40 led to the creation of MI6, the CIA, and the global intelligence networks we know today. These stories remind us that wars are fought by individuals, nurses risking their lives, double agents living in fear. They force us to confront the moral grey zones of loyalty, betrayal, and sacrifice. When we study this hidden history, we see the birth of the surveillance state, propaganda, and the eternal struggle between secrecy and truth. The shadow war of World War I is not just a drama of the past, it's a mirror for our present. The ghosts of these spies still haunt our headlines. Before 1914, Europe was a powder keg, nations armed to the teeth, tangled in alliances, and gripped by paranoia. Spy fever swept the continent. Newspapers warned of enemy agents everywhere, and governments scrambled to respond. Germany did have real spies in Britain, but much of the fear was fueled by rumor. The alliances, triple entente versus central powers, meant a small spark could ignite a world war. Intelligence became crucial. Generals needed enemy plans. Governments needed treaty secrets. When Archduke Franz Ferdinand was assassinated, the tripwires snapped. Europe plunged into war, and the whispers of espionage erupted into a desperate, deadly secret conflict. The Shadow War was born from suspicion, alliances, and the race for hidden knowledge. In this climate, every secret mattered. The fate of nations could hinge on a single piece of information. The world would never be the same. When war erupted in 1914, espionage changed overnight. Nations built professional spy agencies from scratch. Britain's MI5 and MI6, Germany's Abteilung 3B, France's Deuxième Bureau. They recruited aristocrats, academics, linguists, chemists, even magicians. Neutral countries like the Netherlands and Switzerland became battlegrounds for spies trading secrets in hotel lobbies and cafes. The French ran daring networks in occupied territories, reporting on German troop movements. Early agents made mistakes and paid with their lives, but their successes laid the groundwork for modern intelligence. These new organizations learned fast, inventing the systems for recruitment, analysis, and covert operations that define espionage today. The secret war was now fought by professionals, not amateurs. The age of the modern spy had arrived. The Shadow War spanned 4 years, each with its own turning points. 1914, British counter-espionage rounded up German spies in the UK, blinding German intelligence at a crucial moment. 1915, the focus shifted to sabotage. German agents in the US set fires, bombed ships, and disrupted Allied supplies. In the Middle East, T.E. Lawrence began uniting Arab tribes against the Ottomans. 1916, British codebreakers in Room 40 cracked German naval codes, giving the Royal Navy a decisive edge at Jutland. 1917, the Zimmerman telegram was intercepted and published, pushing the US into the war. The entry of America tipped the balance thanks to a handful of codebreakers in London. The secret war was a relentless contest of wits, sabotage, and information. Sometimes a broken code was more powerful than an army. Intelligence shaped the outcome of World War I. The Shadow War was as decisive as any battle, and it was fought in silence. World War I spies used a mix of old tricks and new tech. Carrier pigeons carried vital messages across enemy lines, so effective, the Germans trained hawks to hunt them. Invisible ink evolved from lemon juice to complex chemicals, sparking a cat-and-mouse game between spies and censors. Codes and ciphers were the backbone of secret communication, from simple substitutions to complex diplomatic codes. Breaking them was painstaking work, but crucial to victory. Spies used gadgets, cameras hidden in shoes, microfilm in coins, and hollowed-out pens for smuggling secrets. For sabotage, German agents used pencil bombs, ingenious devices that set warehouses and ships ablaze. The world of espionage was deadly, inventive, and constantly evolving. Every message, every gadget could change the course of the war. In the shadows, innovation was a weapon. The secret war was about people, heroes, villains, and victims. Edith Cavell, a British nurse in occupied Brussels, helped over 200 Allied soldiers escape. She was caught, tried, and executed, becoming a symbol of courage and sacrifice. Her final words, "Patriotism is not enough, I must have no hatred or bitterness towards anyone." Mata Hari, the infamous Dutch dancer, was accused of spying for Germany. The evidence was flimsy, but France needed a scapegoat. She was executed in 1917, remembered as a femme fatale, but likely more victim than villain. These stories reveal the moral complexity of espionage, where truth is elusive and justice is often sacrificed for propaganda. The secret war was fought by ordinary people making extraordinary choices. Some became martyrs, others scapegoats. Their stories remind us that the cost of secrecy is often paid in human lives. In the shadows, courage and tragedy walk hand in hand. The line between hero and villain is never clear. Espionage is a world of blurred boundaries, and its victims are often forgotten. The secret war was full of surprises, sometimes strange, sometimes comical. British spies once used semen as invisible ink, only to discover its telltale smell when heated. A carrier pigeon named Cher Ami saved nearly 200 American soldiers, flying through gunfire with a message tied to its wounded leg. Even the greatest intelligence coups relied on luck. The British cracked German codes thanks to a code book recovered from a stranded ship. Espionage wasn't all trench coats and grim faces. It was bizarre chemistry, animal bravery, and sheer chance. History is shaped by unpredictable moments and unlikely heroes. The Shadow War was a grand drama, but also a collection of human, messy, and often absurd stories. Ingenuity and desperation drove people to use any means necessary. Sometimes, the smallest detail made the biggest difference. The secret war was as much about luck as skill, and its strangest moments are often the most revealing. The end of World War I didn't end the secret war. It institutionalized it. Intelligence agencies like MI6 and the Deuxième Bureau became permanent, shaping the future of espionage. The US soon followed, laying the groundwork for the CIA. New laws justified government surveillance and censorship, creating a lasting tension between secrecy and the public's right to know. The codebreakers of Room 40 led to Bletchley Park and the digital surveillance of today. Propaganda and disinformation campaigns of the Great War evolved into the information warfare of the 21st century. The Shadow War wrote the playbook for modern intelligence. Its greatest lesson: truth is the first casualty of conflict. The courage and sacrifice of those who served in silence shaped our world. Their stories urge us to seek truth, question power, and remember the quiet heroes of the shadows.